All right, it is charcuterie time. So after my last foray into bresaola, which was made out of an eye of round beef roast, I got thinking these flavors, the juniper, the black pepper, rosemary, thyme, garlic, all that would play super well with wild meat, some of that gaminess, and also the fact that an eye of round roast is extremely lean, and game meat tends to also be lean. I thought, hey, that would be just a natural pairing. And when my father-in-law told me that he had bagged an elk and he had one sitting in his garage, I was very politely begging him for sort of a large roast. And, well, he delivered. I have this massive roast, I believe pulled off the hind quarter of this elk, and it's time to play. So this roast is currently weighing in at 4.3 kilograms, and just based on the shape, it's a little bit larger than I can reasonably fit inside a vacuum seal bag, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to wind up splitting it in half just for ease of use. But the first thing I do want to achieve here is just removing some of the silver skin that's on here, because that is certainly not going to break down, and all that will do will add some nasty chewiness to the finished product. So I'm going to go ahead and start to just slice off some of this. There's also the odd elk hair still on here. So I'm going to get this thing all cleaned up here, and once I have that all trimmed off, we'll see about actually splitting this in two. So after I started to play with this and was clearing off some of that silver skin, I did find a couple of small pieces of other muscle groups that were still attached to this. So I actually just removed those because I think it'll wind up with a nicer slicing situation a little bit later on. And after all the trimming here, I dropped it down to just under 3,600 grams for this entire piece. So I'm gonna run some math now and just figure out exactly what I've got here for actual weights for my seasonings and cure, and then I'll be ready to rub it down. Looking at everything going into the cure, I've got 0.25% cure number 2. You probably can't quite see in this little bowl here. I've got 0.6% garlic salt. There is dried thyme, and that's 0.1%. And then I've got kosher salt, and that's 0.25%. Also, there's 0.5% just white table sugar. Forgot that when mentioning what was in the cure. I'm also going to be adding into this, in this jar here, I've got black peppercorns, and that's 0.6%. I've got some dried rosemary at 0.15%, and then some juniper berries, and that is 0.3%. Now, in this jar here, the rosemary and the black peppercorns and the juniper berries, I am going to toss those into my pepper grinder just to get them blitzed up a little bit here, and then I can mix everything up and we'll be ready to actually rub down the meat. So after blasting this through the grinder here, you can see that all that stuff came out quite fine. So I'm just going to mix it in with the rest of these cure ingredients here. I'm just going to stir it up and get out my meat tub, and I'll be ready to rub down. So I'm just going to get this meat into here. And as you can see, I'm pretty sure this is of a size that I can actually manage with a single vacuum seal bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and treat this as a single piece of awesome charcuterie here. So just giving it a nice sprinkling with all these seasonings. Try to get a little bit of it everywhere. And then once this is on here, I'm going to quickly prep up my vacuum seal bag and get everything into that. All right, well, let's hope this fits. And just get it into there, wiggling it, squishing it, getting it in. There we go. Very nice, beautiful. So now I'm just going to get all these seasonings and the cure and shoot it into the bag, and then we can vacuum seal. And there we are, all packaged up. So I'm just going to write the weight down on this and then get it into the fridge. And we're going to have to be extremely patient here for probably at least a month. And here we are in the fridge, keeping her nice and cold. And every day I'm just going to give it a little massage, flip it upside down, and yeah, leave it in here for quite a while. It is time to deal with this meat here. This actually wound up getting 7 weeks in this bag, which is more time than I was intending. However, I was waiting for the cold weather to break, which it finally did today. And I'm going to be able to, it's just going to be an ideal temperature for cold smoking. So I'm just going to slice into this bag here and dump it out. I'm going to give it a nice rinse off. Just in case there's anything on there that will come off anyway. Just using some cold water. This smells amazing. Getting a lot of thyme off of this right now. Beautiful. So I'll just drain that out. Last rinse off here. Perfect. So I'm going to dry this off and we will be ready to smoke. So after patting this roast dry, I've got it in the brick smoker and I am going to get ready to cold smoke it. I'm using my pellet tube smoker here, and I've got these fire brick that are going to be above it, just kind of deflecting any sort of direct heat coming up and absorbing that. But this will give it probably about 7 hours here. I'm using Vermont Casting's competition blend pellets for this because I think that should give a pretty decent flavor. And this meat, you should smell this. It's insane. So much thyme, so much of that juniper and stuff is coming off of it right now. And I think all those strong flavors will really hold up nicely to this smoke. So let's fire up. All right, I'm gonna fire this up with my grill torch here. Pretty effective way to get these pellets going. I love using this pellet tube smoker for cold smoking in here. The great thing about using the brick smokehouse is that with all the fire brick that are in here, it takes forever for this thing to warm up, which is kind of a hassle sometimes if I'm trying to hot smoke, but for cold smoking, it's absolutely beautiful. And that should be good. Put that down there, close it up, and we should be getting some nice smoke coming through here right away. And just about 30 seconds later here, there's already some nice smoke trickling out of the chimney. So yeah, I'm just gonna let this do its thing for a while. All right, so last night, after this had gotten 7 hours of cold smoke and that pellet tube smoker just sort of died out, I actually just let this sit here overnight. It was cool enough outside. It was just sort of like a really cold refrigerator out here, hovering right around the freezing mark, and just letting it off gas a little bit. So now it's time to take it inside and get this prepped to hang in the curing chamber. So for the next part of this operation, in addition to my beautiful hunk of meat here, I've got a sheet of pasted hog skin, which I'm going to use sort of as a casing for this. You can also use collagen sheets. I just had a couple of these left over here. I think I prefer the collagen ones. I think they're just a little bit hardier and less likely to tear. But either way, we'll see how this goes today. I'm going to be using a sausage pricker just to help eliminate any sort of air pockets that might form. I've got my hog ring pliers and these are some 1/2-inch hog rings, and then I've got some netting here that's going to just hardly fit over top of this. Lastly, I'm also going to use a little rum that I've got in this spray bottle here, and this was a stroke of inspiration that just sort of hit me, so hopefully it doesn't turn out horribly. But anyway, let's get this set up. This rum here, this is a spray bottle that I actually had set up for some fruitcakes that I was making, and I saw this downstairs. Normally I would in the past, what I've done is use some vinegar and stuff just to spray things down, help prevent some unwanted mold growth or whatever right off the bat. However, this time, going with rum, and I'm hoping that the flavors are all complementary. So we'll find out. Anyway, who knows? We may not even notice in the finished product. So I'm just going to take this pasted hog skin here, kind of fold it up and over. The same on the other side here, and bring it around. And I could go ahead and just trim a little bit of this excess off here if I wanted to. However, it's not a whole lot of it, and I'm just going to leave it on here. It shouldn't be a big deal. So, taking a look at this here, I think I'll... Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and prick it after I get this onto here. Now, I'm also going to wind up spraying this whole thing down with rum once I'm done. Whatever. The more the merrier, right? Let's just freaking do it now. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a second set of hands here because I think that might make this a lot easier to get this on. So, one moment. Okay, so second set of hands being very helpful at this phase here, especially since this netting that I've got will just barely accommodate this here. Whew. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and using my hog rings, I'm going to secure this. Just going to give it a little spin here. And oh, lost the ring. Lost the ring. Seat that again quickly here. A little spin. Beautiful. Now we'll kind of shake that down so it's tight on that end. Getting the second ring. Perfect. And clamp that on like so. Now I'm just going to go ahead, prick this in a bunch of spots just so that we can eliminate some air pockets that might form in here, because that would be a great spot for bacteria or mold or other awful things to mess with this meat. Excellent. Okay, so this is ready to take downstairs to the curing chamber now, so I'm going to take it down there. So here we are in the curing chamber, and I've got it all nicely hung up. I also got a weight on it here, not only the original weight, but also my target weight. And so then the last thing I'm going to do is just give it a quick spray down here. I'm going to need 2 hands for that, with some potassium sorbate that I've got in a spray bottle, just to inhibit, and you can see I've got some sorbate residue there. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to spray this thing down and just begin the drying process. So today I thought I would go and take a look. This is actually the first time I've weighed this, and it really shocked me with the speed at which it has lost weight. It's actually sitting at a whopping 45% weight loss, which should still be absolutely fine. Everything should be really nicely concentrated and flavorful, but it's definitely time to get this vacuum sealed so everything can equalize. So I double checked the dates and everything, and this went into the curing chamber well, I guess it was essentially 2.5 months ago. So caught me a little off guard. I had forgotten when I'd put this in there. But either way, I'm very excited. Of course, it's still just the waiting game. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to leave the casing on here, and I'm just going to pop it into a vacuum seal bag. It's going to be vacuum sealed. And the vacuum seal is going to allow this to really help equalize, and if it's a little bit drier on the outside and a little bit more moisture a little bit further in, that should balance out. And I'm going to go ahead and double seal this. I already did it on the first side, just to help make sure nothing that there's no air escaping or being allowed to be let in. And you can see here it's really nicely tight. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll be ready to refrigerate. Well, here we are, labeled with the product as well as the date, and I'm probably going to let this go at least a couple of months here. I'm going to refrigerate in the keezer. That'll keep it at a really nice temperature and out of the way. Okay, we've had just about 3 months here. I can't take it any longer. I need to cut into this and find out exactly what it's like. So let's slice in. All right, slice into this vacuum bag here. Pop it out. Ooh, smells delightful. I'm going to try to get the casing off. All right, here we go. There's a little bit of this casing that some of the fiber kind of still got left on there, but that's totally fine. Other than that, this is definitely looking ready to slice into here. I'm just going to cut this in half so I can get a good look at the center and determine if it is in fact ready to package up for slicing or whether I need to let it equalize a little bit more. There we are. It's a little bit, just a touch drier around the edge, I'd say, than the inside here, but looks phenomenal. I'm going to go ahead and let's run a little bit of this off on the slicer. Ooh. I might even go thinner than that. Let's see here. Even a touch. Oh yeah. Look at that there. Fantastic. The aroma is delightful. It's time for a taste test. So I can definitely tell that this is elk as opposed to beef. It has just a little bit of that kind of that wild aroma to it, but it blends super nicely with the thyme, the juniper, all those other flavors, the black pepper. You know, as dry as this was, as I overshot that what I was looking for in moisture loss here, it almost melts in your mouth. It's super, super lean, very flavorful, and just, it's almost like cotton candy, just disappears. Extremely happy with this. I need to try this with some more wild game, so as soon as I get some hands on that, stay tuned for some more. Until next time, keep it at 11.